Good morning. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey, and today is Sunday, November 17th, 2019, and the time is 4:11 a.m. I was just watching another movie. I was referred to this movie by a fellow YouTuber who made mention of it. The name of the movie she recommended is called The Island. The Island movie came out in 2005. And as I said, it's now 2019. And ironically, this is really something. Ironically, that this movie was made, but the storyline is supposed to take place around June 2019, which is already past. It's November now, 2019. Isn't that something? So this movie was to be futuristic about human society, and that the movie is about clones. And I want to talk about my feelings. I watched the movie in its entirety yesterday evening. And then I was going to watch it again. But when I was watching it the first time, I was filled with a lot of anxiety watching it. Usually you can, watch movies and it really not affect you. But this one affected me. And I think it affected me the way it did. The realization of the concept of human cloning. I've heard of the term now maybe 2.5 years. I really didn't take it too seriously. I would hear the subject of clones from Hollywood personalities, that they had clones, and it, the behaviors that some of these actors and actresses would do was because of possible clone. I just thought it was really, really ridiculous. It's a little upsetting on different levels. So here this movie is actually supposed to represent what's happening now in 2019. It's very futuristic. I notice a lot of the futuristic movies are very sterile. They wear like suits that are like a one piece or two, like Star Trek type of uniforms. Very simple. The people very robotic like. They're not encouraged in this movie, the island, to really socialize. So what I'm noticing with this movie, it features primarily a man and woman, and everyone in this movie, what are the agates they call it, the agates. And, it's really something that people are being deceived and outright lied to. See, we're told different terms, euphemisms, terms that remove the social implications of things. So it's trivialized and made to think that it's small. It's not, it we're being told to do certain things, or certain things are okay, because you're not told the truth, the details on something. So in this movie, uh, you see a whole bunch of adults. You don't see any children. They're wearing these white uniforms with a little accent of black in it. And everybody's just kind of walking around. And uh, everything is very structured. They exercise. Their food is really, really portion control. They're not encouraged to men and women to have, you know, sexual relationships. And they're even given like classes. They're reading a Tom, Dick, and Harry book. Okay, so yes, it's old school Tom, Dick, and Harry. When I was in the first grade, we had to read that book. I remember the names and everything. So it's in simplicity, and it's so robotic. But you learn that, well, with human nature, you might be able to control 99.9% of the time, but that 0.1% could really spoil a lot. So that 0.1% was a little bit more awake than most of the other people. And they started asking questions about where they are and everything, and they started kind of venturing, outside of where they were supposed to go. These people are actually living underground in a military-styled underground city. And to help keep them in check, they are lied to. It's a program, and it tells them basically the whole purpose is to live in peace down there, and the hopes one day that you go outside and go to this island, okay? And also you learn that there's supposedly a contamination, and this contamination is outside, and it's to if you go outside, you can't go outside because everything's contaminated, and it'll kill you. But ironically, they have this lottery, as they call it, and maybe once a day or even once a week they have a lottery, and the lucky person gets to be able to go to this island, okay, this paradise island. Well, one day this one radical, this 0.1%, learns otherwise. So he was a curious soul, and he started venturing out, and he stumbled upon the whereabouts of this person who won the lottery. And it was a lady, too. A lady and a man wins the lottery to go to this island. The lady was pregnant, and the guy, it was this big black guy. It's really ironic. And he discovers that these two individuals are killed. And what was really, really graphic was the black guy. Like, they had put him on an operation table. They must have drugged him or something. And he's now on an operating table, and they started to do a procedure on him. Like they wanted to put him under, but they didn't want to give him too much of the anesthesia. They wanted him semi-conscious while they harvested his organs. But he's uh, kind of aware, and he's getting scared. And when the guy said, to hurry up, we got to harvest his liver, that guy woke up and started fighting, and he escaped briefly. Well, they captured him again, and again, it's imprinting on your mind. A black man, and this was a very muscular black dude, dark-skinned black dude, and it's. I felt it was. How do you say? Almost like traumatized. I felt it was like trying to traumatize the viewer, and in particular, black people, to make you feel vulnerable that you're just a big black guy, and we're just there to harvest your whatever. The white woman, she's pregnant, but they have a breeding program, and the ladies are there, and they seem to be like separate from everyone, the pregnant ladies, and everything's made to look very pretty for the ladies that are pregnant. And then she gets labor pains when she's in the cafeteria, and she's like carried away, and so, oh right, you're going to go to the island now with the baby, and everything is la-di-da. But no, when she goes to the delivery room, and then they kill her, and this young radical, that 0.1%er, witnesses that too, as he is scouting around and comes across that, because he was curious to know where these people are going, because just something doesn't make sense to him. And he's also told, well, it's also mentioned, like he has a little female friend, okay, and his female friend is told that she won the lottery, and later that day, on the next day, she'll be going to the island. But after the guy sees all, these two people killed, he realizes, hey, this is a lie, and most likely she's going to be killed also. So the two escape, this big escape. Now, my thoughts about what I've seen so far. The first thing, that the uniforms, they're wearing white with just a little accented black on it. But basically it's a white uniform. But all the staff there are wearing black. And so right away it's color-coded, that the people wearing white are the innocent, goodly ones, and the mad scientists are all wearing black. So again, this is reinforcing the negativity about the color black and what it symbolizes. And again, in the relative beginning of the movie, okay, you have a white female who's pregnant and a black man. So duality is at play. And again, a very, very massive, big black guy. So to me, it's reinforcing the stereotype, or the concept that black is bad or aggressive, a negative energy, fear, every negativity, and control. While white is innocence, peace, and all that. So that rubbed me almost immediately about the colors, because I feel that the movie was using visuals as and the color as communicators of safe or danger, and also the female, the protagonist, the couple. It was a white couple, and the woman has blonde hair, and everything is like everything represents beauty with her, and just a simplicity and innocence. She has blue eyes even. So that's the first thing I noticed, the reinforcement of black and white, or black versus white. And then now you have like the two escape, and they got to go outside, and they're in the middle of a desert. Looks like a wasteland. And it's over in the United States somewhere, this silo. And like one of the guys, the scouter, he had like a buddy who was a worker there, and he was like a lower level type person, and the two would have a conversation. He was just really, curious about the environment and everything, and I guess he had gotten some clues. Like he did receive like a little box, and it had an address on it. So when he got out of the silo, and he sees a road, and it had the street name, what highway was, and he remembered the number of the highway that was written on the box. So say, hey, maybe we'll get to this place where my friend went. He should tell me about certain things. Hey, let's go there. Maybe he'll be there too. And yes, they do find him there, and the person helps him out. And now there's a bounty on this couple. And guess who you have to retrieve them? You get this other big black dude with a French surname. He's an African. Real tall, big. So I just found that really interesting. They show black people, very dark complexion, very big. So it just reminds me of how do you say this? That you're just a product yourself, that you're there to help, you're there, organ donation, you're there to be the bounty hunter. And he works like for the Delta Force and all this stuff. And so he's out to get them. So again, a black man against this white couple, and the mentality of this white couple, they only have what do you call it? The maturity of a 15-year-old. They're really limited in education. They just know, be hopeful, because one day you'll get picked to go to the island. They can read a little bit, because remember, they're reading Tom, Dick, and Harry. So they're given some education about reading to stimulate their mind and everything like that, but don't stimulate it too much, So why this movie? Why did this movie come out a couple of years after the movie The Matrix? So the common theme from this movie, The Island, and The Matrix, is about the harvesting of human beings, that you are grown in a cell. Now, the movie The Matrix, that was a complete deterioration of society. while in the movie The Island, it was not a complete decay. You still had society. Society was still uh, intact, but society was getting more and more um, greedy, and they wanted longevity of life or not to die at all. See, these clones, see, they were making clones. See, all these people you learn about in the movie The Island, the people who are wearing all white with the little black in it, were all clones. So these people were being grown by their, as they call, sponsors. See, and everything they use all these weird terms, sponsored, agates. Agates means the clone that's in early stage of development. And the clients are individuals who have enough money to make a clone, and it's really just, as a product. Yeah, the people also call products. So everything is dehumanized, that you are a product. You're for something else. And like this, if a client needed an organ, it turns out that the girl in the movie, the protagonist, that her so-called sponsor got in a terrible, terrible car accident, and she's in a vegetative state, and so she's going to be harvested for organs. Yeah. So it's really coincidental that how things, like, because they have to make the clones. It takes about a year to make a clone, I think they said. 1 whole year. And so I guess the girl who got in, was cloned, that they have to hurry up. And that's why they have to kill her, because the person, it turns out, has 2 more days left of life until she dies. And so they have to get this lady and harvest her. But you also discover in the movie that they would get visitors to this facility, and everything looks really, really high tech. Everybody's pretty that works there. And again, I've color coded. Like, you had a person that looked like a model, and she's wearing all black, a very tight black dress. Special lighting to create mood, and she's escorting the visitors, And so the people are showed what these agates look like. And everything it's in person. They made it look like plants, like you're just growing a harvest, and then you're going to pick the fruit one day. So they have the people look in this pod. It doesn't have any form of a human yet. You see one big red blob, and they just said it has no consciousness. It's just, we have to comply with the regulation about, that these aren't human. These are, just, they never have consciousness. So they're not people. But they didn't show them what the latter ones look like. See, it reminded me of the lies people say about abortion. When you go to the abortion clinics, Planned Parenthood in particular, that they tell the women, oh, it's not a real baby. It's just a blob. It's just a blob. And so the women are desensitized. Say, oh, well, it's just a blob in my belly. Well, remember, ladies, blobs develop into people. So maybe initially it is a 2 cell, 3 cell, 4 cell, but they replicate those cells into people, an infant. Okay, and um, so it's a selling of an idea to make money, and this company, the it's like worth, the whole institution is worth like, I think they said $100 billion, $200 billion, and they discovered it's a glitch in the software. Something happened, and that's why it attributed to that guy who started asking a lot of questions and started showing signs of aggression. And he also started to get memory of the person that he was cloned by. Yeah. And so, because that information also got out, they have to kill everybody and start from scratch, they said. So, they would, how they make the clone, they said that they have to scan the person, the host's body, something like that. And they grow this thing. So it turns out also that, when they do escape, the guy and the girl, since they go to, like, the two people's hosts are in two opposite sides of the United States. The guy's the guy's source is in California, while the lady is, I think, in New York. So they go to the California location, and they do track down the guy. And the guy sounds British or something like that. And it dawned on me. I notice a lot of these movies, they get a lot of people with British accents who are part of these programs. So I'm wondering, is Britain, Australia, and again, Australia is a Commonwealth of Britain, are they really about this? It's like they make it seem prim and proper to have to be into science and everything, that it seems to legitimize. See, you hear an accent and you immediately get an attitude about how you feel about something. It's like the British accent qualifies, legitimizes, approves of an activity. Just the accent alone. And people don't really question. I'm questioning. Why do they have Britain, or those accents, in these type of roles of authority? See, this is brainwashing, social brainwashing, that if you hear a certain accent, just like if you hear or see certain types of people, like black people, so you immediately get a sentiment, a legitimacy, or an illegitimacy. And that's what I pick up in this movie. It's something. To me, it's old school brainwashing. That white is good and black is bad. And you know who else? Oh, I mentioned that about the bounty hunter being the very big-boned, tall African fellow, and he has a French surname. So it's like, again, reminded me of the police force or the military. And in the United States, you have a growing number of blacks and other people of color that are, what do you call, correctional officers or police officers, that type of thing. And oftentimes you see them in these positions. So it's like they're using blacks to be the aggressor to enforce things against humanity. So again, it's brainwashing and it's teaching and reinforcing amongst the masses not to trust things that are dark. Even though in the beginning of the movie, the black guy who gets killed, see, you're taught to fear black people. Because again, you're either a victim, like the guy whose organs were harvested, and you're big and everything, but your bigness and your strength isn't used for your own benefit and continuity. Or you're a big black person and you're being used to enforce someone else's will upon you. See? That's what I'm learning about this movie. And it's a turnoff. And you see the couple, this blonde, her blonde hair is like accentuated at times. Like it was like one of the guys would have a dream, and it's a dream with that lady in it, and you just see masses of blonde hair blowing in the wind. And so it's an allurement that is something good, is something to reach out for, to acquire. So it's reinforcing, I should say. Society is being reinforced, again, with Hollywood pictures. And just like these people in this movie, The Island, they're being grown in some type of pod. And so, why all this drama? What does all this mean for society? Why are we just being used as harvest material? Also, see, these movies influence us when we leave the theater. Don't you ever wonder, black people, when you get together you start to fight. You get edgy. When you go to clubs, especially black clubs, what happens in these clubs? Fights, shootings, right? Now that could actually happen in any club. But why? Or let's say in the street, in certain black areas, in urban centers in particular, why when we walk about, why are we on alert? Why do we roll out our eyes at one another? Why do we gossip against someone that you don't even know? Why are we so quick to fight out there? Why? Why our behavior of, like, this TV show called The Paternity Court with Judge Lauren Lake? Most of the people that you see on that show are black couples. And the attitude of some of the people, I would say of most of the people, the terms that they use against each other is staggering to me. You say, oh, no, we never had a relationship. But they're in paternity court, okay? Well, modern day couples now have a new vocabulary. See, relationship to them means one thing. Relationship to them does not mean sex. And that they're having sex, yes, but it's a recreational thing or an activity. But there's no social, no emotional connection. You're just doing an activity, and they may have this activity with multiple partners. And that's why they're in paternity court, because the ladies may not know who the father is, or the father doesn't believe it's his, because she may have been unfaithful. But again, it's we're becoming, we're not growing together socially as a natural, warm social interaction. We're becoming really just things to one another. And this show is playing over and over again, this paternity court. It's embarrassing to watch. I do watch it. When I watch it, I watch it. And it's very addictive, I think, watching the paternity court. I'm amazed at how the people are so removed from one another. Once in a while, you hear a guy. I'm starting to hear this now, as it pertains to the black guys on that show. That they want, some of them want a baby. I mean, they want that it's their baby. They want to make sure it's their baby, not some other guy's. But they want a sense of family. They want it so badly, even though they may not really know the girl, or maybe they might have been in a long-term relationship. But it's like they want a family, and I'm very sad for them that their life, like they have a desire, but the way they're going about it, it's like the people that you can imagine on this movie called The Island. See, this couple, the couple isn't, they're not allowed to, they can talk to each other, but they're not allowed any intimacy. They're really like children. They're clones they're adult clones. They're the age of the host. So if the host is 25, when the clone is in maturity, they become the age of that donor. But their mind and development is limited. But because, they're human still, that there is some, if things took its course, that those physical intimacies would be there. So I feel that this movie, The Island, is really like the next stage of society. The now, because again, this movie is about the now. It's made in 2005, about a futuristic time of, what was that, June 2019. Well, it is November 2019 now. See, so I think Hollywood is really, they're telling you, they're giving you a sneak peek about what's going on. is this really going on now? It's frightening. Some of us, we've heard of people in, what's that, in Egypt, countries around Egypt, that they're kidnapping Africans, black Africans, for organ harvesting. And their bodies are found in the desert. And I saw over YouTube one of the survivors who was found in the desert, a black fellow. And he was on death's door. Yeah, he died. They took his organ. It could have been his kidneys that they stole. And you turn him over, you see these stitches. Coarsely done. How horrific. This is crime against humanity. See, again, Israel. And I know lately, you keep seeing the common themes. It's something. The videos that I'm talking about now, the past month, about who's being kidnapped, who not kidnapped, but who's doing what. And I talked about the Ashkenazi connection, the Jewish connection, the German connection. They're all kind of related. And it's all about this desire to transform society into such a perversion against humanity. Isn't that what World War II was all about? That's what I'm getting at, this supremacy. Or they use a British accent. So again, Anglo-Saxon, Germanic, Ashkenazi, supremacy. It's a constant theme. And these same type of people seem to be controlling societies, and in particular the society that I live in. And I made mention in a recent video, and audio like this one. I had requested my school records from elementary school, and I was dumbfounded. I wasn't, most of my teachers, yes, were white. But when I saw it in black and white, the records in my hand, and I saw that the mass majority of the people, of this teachers that I had, were people with Ashkenazi names. But I do remember I had two teachers, two black teachers, two women, but they weren't on the list. They weren't. So that's what made it also shocking. I think maybe I think maybe the teachers that they had listed down, these were the homeroom teachers or something. I don't know, but that's what it was. My Miss Johnson, a black woman, she was not on the paper. So it just added more anxiety to me of control. Like, why is this so? Now, my school, my elementary school, and especially back 50 years ago, was virtually exclusively a black school. We did have at one time two Hispanics. I think one a Puerto Rican, and the girl, I know she was from Guatemala. But still, no whites. It was 0% white people. And so, if you have a school that exclusively non-white, why are all of them white teachers? So again, it's like a control. Like this movie, The Island. Who's controlling the narratives for these clones. White people. People with funny, like British sounding accents. Like they're important. So it's a control thing again, that certain accents will signify leadership or being in a position of leadership. And you know, further, I'm reminded as I say that, a couple of years ago, I met a girl from Central Africa who was recruited by the U.S. for whatever reason to come and live in the U.S. There was no reason why they brought her over, but there has to be a reason why. I know I'm kind of maybe getting off the subject, but it's all, I think everything is all connected in the end. Yeah, she was from a prominent family, so she says, from Central Africa. Prominence meaning that she was from a tribe a ruling tribe there in that amongst those people. And then, yes, it was taken over and colonized. And as a young girl, she was moved to Europe, to France. And she went to school, and very, very sharp mind, and she has multiple degrees, and she's in a profession. But I'm wondering, now she was practicing her field in Africa. She was doing very well. And yes, she was working back in her country. I think initially she worked in France, and then she was brought back to her country of birth in Africa, doing very well. And then she was recruited by some American government official, says, hey, you want to come to the U.S. and we'll educate you. But again, she's already educated. She has her degrees and doing very well in her country. They wanted her away for some reason. And she said, sure. She'd come there. And she had a lot of connections with higher up people. See, the thing, what I'm getting at here, as I say this, is that there are things going on, even right now, of people being, she's being trafficked here. I mean, she was willful, she agreed. People are being relocated to different areas for different purposes. And it's like, why? Why take an African and bring them here? Why do you need to do that? She's prosperous. She's, a rich girl, rich standards. Why is this happening? Why does the U.S. have these programs? Like even in Europe, they have a program like France, here again, France. Now, people in France, in particular, the government, U.S. government there's a program that these people from France, and I would speculate other countries in Europe too, similar to, maybe around France, that this is an 18-month program that they can come to the U.S. and work in the restaurants, hotel restaurants, and learn the cooking field. Now, they were already doing that work in their country. And the French in particular, and I used to work for a French company, in the culinary arts. They are the top of the line when it comes to culinary. Okay? They take food seriously. So why they need a cultural exchange or to learning program when the U.S. cooks European foods? The U.S., the top hotels create the foods that they produce in Europe to cater to European palates. So why do you need them to come to the U.S. and then go back to their host country to continue the cooking field? Doesn't make sense. There are a lot of things are not making sense that I'm seeing. Why are people being relocated to do certain things when everything's okay? You have people from other countries that are starving, that would love the opportunity to learn a skill that maybe they can bring to back in their country to boost it up intellectually, technology-wise, but that's not happening. Why they're feeding those who are full? That's my question. Oh, again, so again, this lady that I knew from Africa. Yeah, why I mentioned her also, that we used to talk. I no longer see her anymore, but one day she had mentioned that when her father was in school in Africa. See, her father, now they're a black family, but the father had blue eyes. And when he was a little kid, he initially started out in a regular elementary school that was under colonialism by Europeans. But when they saw his eyes, they said, "You can't go to this school. You have to go to another school. You have to go to school for white people." I kid you not. I kid you not. So they took him, and he had to go to a white school of the colonials. See, again, that's about, again, programming people that certain colors, certain accents, certain races are to be the top class of the ruling class. Yes. And so that's what happened. And he was being groomed now to be able to function in the ruling class. Now he was one of the leaders of this particular tribe. I don't know what tribe it was. Again, I don't know these names, but it was telling. And also, what was telling about this person when we were at a cafeteria, and her racism that would come out. Now, this is a black woman. She was a dark brown. I mean, she wasn't that dark, but she was a what you see, a regular African lady. And I noticed it was American. I assume it was the parents and the adult child. He could have been in his early 20s. The youngster, and he looked. His skin was so beautiful. I thought, yeah, black is beautiful, and his skin was jet black. And I said, "Your skin is so beautiful." I just had to say that. His skin looked so beautiful. I said, "Your skin is so pretty, so beautiful." He says, "Thank you," in modesty. And then my so-called African friend said a very, I'm not going to say, a very snide remark. He wasn't even talking to us. I spoke to him, and she gets in his business and then insults him about his color. I was like dumbfounded. How could she? It was sneaky. It was something sneaky. And I'm not going to repeat what she said. But there I see how, again, about being brainwashed, culturally brainwashed, socially brainwashed, even as a native-born African, how you could be taught and programmed to not like yourself, to not promote your own culture, and promoting everything white/European. And I no longer see this person. Yeah, I question about her. It was like, just by chance that I bumped into her. I was with my dogs, and she had walked up to me regarding the door, and we just started chit-chatting a little bit. And I knew that she was some type of French person. She had a very strong French accent. I didn't think she was Haitian because the type of French she was speaking, I knew she was different, and she seemed very educated. And I learned about her, but I started, I don't know, I started to question who she was. And it sounds very paranoid of me, but see, sometimes you start to pick up these things about people, programming about people. And I wanted at that time to, meet different types of people and meet people of African ancestry. And even though this person was born in Africa, she had a European mindset, a white mindset. And she wasn't about teaching her culture to her own adult children, young adult children. And the country she's from is a very notorious place of abuse that happened to the indigenous people there. Genocide. And I told her, I said, you should teach your son their history. And she responds, why should I? It's just going to traumatize them. I said, well, if they're living in the United States, you should teach them their history, their culture, and give them pride. I don't think she'd done that. And it was something else that she also had connection with people high up in government. And I was starting to feel a little paranoid about her. Now, on the surface, she was fun to talk to. Really fun to talk to. She was an intellectual. But it's these things that, I don't know, it's just a lot of little things that didn't make sense about her. And how someone with her background could get, get caught in briefly going into a shelter. She was in a different state. And she had a domestic issue with her husband, and he confiscated her her money and other things, and I think took her passport. So something with, she wasn't able to get citizenship. Her husband had arrived first. Okay, she was invited in the country by the U.S. and educated here, and given an indoctrination. That was really something. Something with the State Department, anyone that they bring in, and I would imagine what do you call it? People, a refugee. I assume. I mean, she was not any refugee, anything like that. But I'm wondering, I speculate maybe refugees also go through an indoctrination. She had to learn U.S. history and how certain ethnic groups, what happened to them historically in the U.S. It was like a whole indoctrination about the people here, and including American blacks. So even Africans, when they come here, they're learning things about American blacks. And I don't think it's something positive. It's like a wedge. It's like us and them. See that? They're not teaching blacks whether a native African or a black person in the Americas. They're not teaching you to be one. And so you feel more comfortable in a white environment. And also what was interesting in an indoctrination, I forget the person's name, but it was one of two ladies. Um, I think she was someone high up. I'm not sure whether it was the Secretary of State or someone high up. I don't know why I get confused with these two ladies. Um, it could be either the lady that says, if you see something, say something, that slogan. It could have been her. Is she Nancy Pelosi? I forget. But it's someone like her, could have been her or somebody else, that she had contacted when her husband was messing her over and preventing her from uh, actually getting citizenship or something like that. And this person was helped her out. So when you have friends in high places, so I started wondering, who is this person? And my paranoia started, and she started to leave things in my apartment. I started feeling uncomfortable around her. And it was just a lot of little things that just didn't add up. Who she knows. I started thinking, is she like um, being sent to spy on me? I mean, it sounds awful to say something like that. But that's what I started thinking, because, why is she befriending me? Well, I mean, even though, I always feel like, because how we met, it's like, this happened in 2015, and at that time, I was just starting to awaken and start to ask questions. I had a major paradigm shift. And I think I even prayed one day that I want to start meeting more uh, people, more black people in my life, to have a new circle of friends and contacts. And lo and behold, get because again, I'm interested in my African heritage. So let's get an African lady. Oh, and French speaking also, because my background also is Afro-French background on my mother's side. So let's get that. So it was just so conveniently presented. And I started feeling uncomfortable. And I've never felt that way before. It was like presented like everything you ask for, you got in this person to be your new buddy. And I started to get exhausted. We would go out different places in the neighborhood. And I got so tired. I kid you not. Um, I was tired of seeing her. And no, and not implying anything of any sexual nature. Not at all. I don't bend that way. But it was just weird. Person started leaving uh, their items in my house. earrings, I'm not sure whether the phone, her computer, and other stuff, just little items, money. And I didn't like it. I just felt weird. And I think in part, I felt weird about it because I was told, I was told to once by this person that when they go over people's houses, they like to purposely leave things in their house so that they have an excuse to go back to your house. I kid you not. I kid you not. And I didn't like that. I didn't like that when they told me that. So I think that was messing with my head. And one day, I was just so exhausted. The person called me, and the phone, it's my cell phone. I had just gotten a cell phone. And I was too tired to get off the couch to pick up the cell phone, and too far away to pick up the telephone. So first she dialed my cell phone. I didn't answer. And then the answer machine. And she said, hey, pick up the phone. And I didn't. I was just too tired. And this is the first time I ever did this. First time. And then what happened now? Yeah, so that following morning, so that was in the evening when she called. I was just too tired. And I spoke to her. I think she texted me. And I text her. I think I text her back. But I know I feel awkward when I communicated with her. I responded to her that she said, "Hey, are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm okay. I just needed some time to regroup." That's all I said. I was just physically tired, and I just couldn't get out of bed, and that was the truth. And then I think we spoke on the phone. I told her what's going on. I said, "I'm just too exhausted." I was. And that was the last time we went out. One of the last communications we had. Because she had said, "Oh, I'll see you later on in the week." Well, I didn't, and she didn't call. Now, she used to call up almost every day. And I didn't see her that week. And the following week. And so it was Halloween. It was 2 weeks later from the initial conversation on the phone. And I see her walking in the street, walking. And we greeted each other. And I told her that I was heading out to see the Halloween parade. And she was just saying, "I'm just going to go to work." And that was it. Didn't hear from her since. Then I think a year later, I bumped into her in the street again. And I saw her. She sees me, and I see her. She doesn't say anything. And then I say to myself, "Hey, wait a minute." I said, "She's just going to go by." Oh, because I remember. It was her birthday. And I had sent her a, happy birthday. But I never got a response. So I think my ego, yeah, I do have an ego. And so I say, "Hey, I sent a text to you, and it jumped back at me, the message." She says, "Oh, I no longer have that number. I had lost my phone, and so I have a new number." Yeah, she would also, yeah, she did often lose her cell phone. That is true, when I knew her. But yeah, so my point in mentioning about her is that here we did things, we communicated almost every day. Went out places. It seemed very intense to me. And because one day I didn't pick up the phone once, but we spoke the next morning. So it was just a couple of hours later. And for me to just say that I just needed time to regroup, I was really tired, to never hear from her again. So I mentioned this because I'm thinking that maybe she was assigned to me. That she, again, at this time, I was starting to ask questions for the first time. I was a full-time, not full, I was in school for many years, and I was just focused on my schoolwork. I didn't really have a social life. And so now it was a couple of years after I graduated, I came to a new paradigm shift. And at that time, the paradigm shift was only maybe 4 months, 5 months. Yeah, 5, 6 months. So I was like in a daze when I met her. And I think it's the content of my YouTube videos started to change slightly. So I'm thinking this person might have been assigned to me. That's what I'm thinking. Why would someone, because you didn't pick up the phone one day and our friendship was for a couple of months, and then never to hear from them again. So my instincts are telling me that her purpose was maybe was getting exposed. She might have sensed that I started to ask questions, and so maybe she was assigned not to to leave. You know, sounds very, very far-fetched, I know. But what explanation do you have? You meet someone, you meet the type of person you want to talk to socially, and you know, and then boom, you don't hear from them anymore. It's like they're there for a season. They're there to find out about you, to ask questions. Never heard from them again. So I'm thinking also that sometimes people, they plant people in certain areas to snoop on certain people, to get in your inner circle. That's what I'm thinking would happen. It was just really bizarre. It was a bizarre friendship. Very bizarre. It started off, I thought, normal, and then just a control, manipulation. It was just weird. So I know I sound like I'm getting off the subject, but I'm really on the same subject because it's about, you have a surface reality, a brainwashing, or a social engineering type of thing, and it's all to control you, to get you off guard. Everything is to make you off guard, throw you off guard, I should say, just as the movie The Island. Throw them off guard when they start to ask questions. See, human beings have a natural ability of thought, and when given the chance, you start to analyze certain things. And I too started to analyze certain things. Like it's a big question mark in my head. Question mark about my education in elementary school, and seeing certain patterns, seeing certain surnames of individuals that are always at play. So whether you're a little child, who are your teachers? Who are your doctors? Same type of people. Who do you work for? What building, where do you live? Who's the landlords? And you see a constant theme of the same type of person. And that's what I'm noticing now. I'm also, like I made mention a couple of videos ago. I think I had this dream about a month ago. And remember about the woman? I was dreaming, but what I was dreaming, it was like I was awake and asleep at the same time. Like I was aware that I was lying down in bed, but at the same time I'm experiencing a dream that was in, as I mentioned then, in an overlay. And about the, what do you call it, the Germanic woman, and she was doing some type of experiment, and told me to allow this thing, this lion, to eat me. Lion or some type of large feline or something. And so it's like, wow. And I've told you many times about dreams that I had, not dreams, the visions. Upon awakening, and you keep your eyes closed upon awakening from especially a dream, from dreaming or deep sleep. And when you relax and have your eyes closed, a visual appears. So as in this movie, The Island, the people who are in the pod, the clones, they are fed these visuals also. And these visuals program them. And that's what I'm speculating. That some of us are being programmed, if not all of us, in some way. Yes, this television is a program, like television program. The movies is a program. The newspaper a program. So we're always bombarded by being programmed. But there's some programs that are more invasive, like in the movie The Island. They're in a pod, or even the movie The Matrix, same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same theme. They're being fed information by design. And I'm wondering whether the things that I'm seeing in my visions are these, what are they? Are, are these, what do you call it, parallel universes? Are these, like we're being fed, it's like, because we're asleep and we may not remember all our dreams, are these programmed dreams of other lives that I'm living simultaneous to this one? What if you have clones? I mean, this is science fiction type of thing I'm talking about, but it's really designed for food for thought. Like in this movie, The Island, they made like one clone of the person, but what if they made several clones of the same person? And let's say each one is given its own different movie, different program, to enhance maybe, for different reasons. They want to experiment which program works the best for the clone, or maybe that the person could enjoy multiple lives. But it's something that I actually see. It's could be like a lot of times it looks two-dimensional, like a screen, and it's something that I'm not able to, like, I cannot like move my eyes or head and see a different visual. It's something that I'm just watching straight, and it's it's doing the navigating. It's like watching TV. You see only what the screen shows you. You can move your head, whatever, but you can't see beyond what the screen is showing. Okay? So that makes me think of that there's a screen involved. And then other ones that I see are actually three-dimensional. It looks like that I'm actually there, seeing things that I've never seen before. I've never seen the people, the places. Sometimes, a lot of times I'm on the top, like I'm at the ceiling. You know, like sometimes like in buildings they have cameras, and it's in strategic places in the corner, whatever. And that's what it seems like a camera. And sometimes these like when I first started seeing these things, it was always like a plant, a plant, a green plant covering part of the view. And it was always the same type of plant, it seemed. It had those long, long, skinny leaves, green leaves, and I think that it's a type of palm plant. You see them a lot in offices, things like that. And I'm wondering, like, if I'm going to see something in a vision of mine, why would my vision appear in some corner somewhere on the top of the ceiling looking downward? And a plant, green plant, it's covering it. It's like I'm hiding behind this plant. Those were the early visions I saw. It makes no sense to me. Or I'm wondering, hey, did I work in a place that I was viewing from these cameras? I mean, it's really wild. Really, really wild. I am seeing activity below. And I think my latest thing that I saw, that I may mention to this, someone walking in a hallway was very, very faint. Again, all the things when I see it, like a camera view, it's always very faint. But in the center it's clear, and then in the peripheral is very, very hazy. And saw someone walking down a hallway. It looked like some type of business, a large facility, and someone carrying a massive, a very big box, a cardboard box, a big one. And I assume it was a man because it seemed, the hand seemed big. That was my impression. I'm seeing things. Why am I seeing these things? Why? Why is it like in a camera view? Could this be, what is this world that I'm living in? Is this a false world that I'm living in, and the world that I see through the camera, my real one? And if that camera vision is the real one, why why do I come back here? Why am I looking through these camera type things? And why are they appearing to me? I saw other places like it looked. I don't know where this place was, but it was very, very plush. Large buildings, stone buildings, like the, you know, uh, just very massive, very, very, very modern. And then I told you that I saw a flag. I could not see the details of the flag, but that it was a white background and it was red in the center of designs. I think these are real places, and I don't know why, what this reality is. But I think Hollywood and its movie making are giving us clues. The Matrix is a clue, and now the movie The Island. And I wonder why The Island, again, this is the first time I ever heard of the movie The Island. People don't really talk about it. The Matrix gets it down packed. They hands down, the Matrix. That is a real classic, cult classic movie. Yeah, things are happening now. Things are happening now, and I believe things are going to be happening quickly in my life. The whole concept of a life and death. And some of you have seen a video that I did a couple of days ago. My mother's not doing well now. She was a healthy older lady. And now these things are happening. Now things are happening very quickly upon her health. And I'm a little stressed by it. Yeah. So those of you who got this far in this audio, please pray for her wellness, and that she doesn't suffer. Yeah, I don't want her to suffer. As for life and death, I'm not as afraid of death as I used to be. I mean, who wants to die? But I'm starting to see that, excuse me, I'm starting to see that life and that I think I think our minds is something eternal. And this could really just be a simulation, like in the movie The Matrix, that a mind lives on. And I think this world is really a, how do you say, a prison planet. But it's just different hierarchies of the prison. You know, some of us have a 4-foot leash, some of us have a 6-foot leash, and some of us may have a 20-foot leash. But in the end, you're still on a leash, and you're still being controlled. We're being controlled. And that's all that I see out of all this. But I have to remind myself that regardless how deep this rabbit hole goes, and what the true reality is in this matrix system, to don't forget to live. And that's what I have to tell myself. Living is something that goes beyond just locality. It's about being in the moment of your life. So when that time does come, you have you are the center core. And our bodies are just houses. We live in a house, and that's it, possibly. So at least enjoy the eternal you. And one day, to fully wake up and to fully have freedom. I pray for freedom, true freedom, for all of us. So take care, guys. And I hope you enjoyed this audio tape. And have a wonderful, wonderful life of awareness. Bye-bye.